The Cactus Park Precinct is committed to partnering with the community and to reduce crime and increase public safety. Here to talk about his plans for the Cactus Park area is Commander Kevin Robinson. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I've known you for a while. I won't go into how far back we go, but I was delighted when you were named to be the new precinct commander because you have untold experience and you're known as a leader. So what I really want to hear is what changes you're going to make, what's new and exciting, and what's the priorities?
Okay, well, I'll start with the priorities. You know, the priorities, and this is one of the messages I've been sending to or giving to the community groups as I meet with them, is if it's of a concern to them, it's of a concern to us. And as the precinct commander, I want to know what bothers them, what issues are going on in their neighborhoods that give them pause or cause for concern. And then we, in turn, need to work with them, figure out ways that we can solve those problems, alleviate those concerns or fears. So it's going to be about partnership. The precinct was in wonderful hands before I got there. I'd like to think it's in really good hands now, and we're moving forward. I will tell you that what I have seen, and as you alluded to, almost 34 years on this police department, and I've had the privilege and opportunity to have worked all over the city in all different kinds of assignments, and throughout the department in all different kinds of assignments. What I have found with the men and women at the Cactus Park Precinct is I don't know that there are any better anywhere in the police department, and that's saying something, because the department is, and I can say this firsthand knowledge, is one of the best in the nation. So having said that, looking at the officers who work, the officers and the supervisors at Cactus Park Precinct, what they have in mind is they want to make sure they're delivering quality service to the citizens. They are doing their best at every turn to do everything they possibly can to aid the citizens when they're called, to partner with the citizens where they can to make the community better. So that's been the best part about it. I've been able to step in, watch a lot of these things, and they're moving in the right direction.
They are extremely responsive and creative.
They are. And you know, when you talk about creativity, all I have to do is sit back, and the community action officers, they're all worth their weight in gold. They direct me. And and when I say that, some people kind of raise an eyebrow. So what do you mean they're directing you? Well, they have the pulse. They have the pulse of the community. They're talking to the citizens. They know what's going on. So they'll come in and out of my office all day long and say, oh no, you need to do this, or you need to go here. So I take the cue from them, which is, I think, a very smart thing to do. And then I'm able to understand a little bit more completely about the concerns of the community. And then, hearing firsthand from both the community action officers as well as the citizens, I can then direct whatever resources or my attention to those areas to help them solve those problems.
I know that you are extremely responsive. I want to thank you because we had a problem on 31st Avenue with speeders. One short text and you had people out there, you jumped right on it. I know we're going to continue to address trying to figure out how to reduce the speeding in that area, because 31st has become a speed arena in several different segments. So it is a continuing problem, but I couldn't applaud you more for the quick response.
Well, and it's my pleasure, but when you let us know about the problem, and we were aware of a little, you know, you had the fatal accident out there, which was a travesty. It was just unspeakable. But we knew we needed to do something. And so hearing from you, I made sure our folks got out there. I spoke to the sergeant and the squad that afternoon and said, this is what's going on. They were out there.
They were.
You know, they were the ones who responded to that fatal accident. So they were just as concerned. And that's an interesting point that you bring up, that, you know, we did respond, but our officers they're in tune to the issues, the things that concern folks in the community, and they get on top of it right away. In doing so, the community needs to understand that they need to adhere to or obey the traffic laws just like everybody else. So even though they're the ones who live in the area and they're calling in, we're stepping up our enforcement in those areas. So I hope they understand, and if they're going over the speed limit and they get stopped and receive a citation from one of the officers, they need to understand we're doing our jobs in cooperation with them.
You know, that's usually the case. The neighbors call, all excited, lots of speeders, and then it turns out the greatest majority live in the neighborhood. Yeah. They're anxious to get home, and
that's true.
Clear sailing.
We all get a little complacent, you know, and then people need to understand that 30 miles an hour can be a fatal speed. That's you know, you hit somebody going 30 miles an hour, And the body is not too forgiving sometimes when it hits the pavement. People need to understand that, and that's why we have the speed limits that we do have. They just need to be extremely careful. I'm all about driving a little bit slower than the speed limit. My kids give me a real hard time about that, but that's okay. And people need to understand that. They're still going to get there. And I'd rather them get there safely and maybe a little bit late than get there a little bit earlier on time and having taken some chances to get there.
And usually it's only a few seconds difference
If
between
that.
your arrival time. So
You're absolutely right.
another thing I wanted you to quickly touch on is we are doing a lot with Metro Center, making sure it stays safe. And I know you've been over there visiting.
Yes, I have, and you and I have talked about it. We have some businesses that are coming into Metro Center, which is a good thing, very good thing. We want the economy to grow, and as these new businesses come in, we want to make sure we're able to partner with them up front. So there's a couple places we've had some talks with the management of the folks to make sure we're all on the same sheet of music. I've let them know that as a precinct commander, I'm taking specific concern or interest in their business and how, and just everything around it, surrounding their business, and they understand that. And actually I have another meeting next week, I believe, with some folks out there just to make sure everything is going smoothly, and we'll continue to pay the attention that we need to pay to those groups.
We've done so much there, and I am so delighted to hear you are continuing to really monitor that closely. I know the city staff is meeting with the mall owner this week to talk about conditions, improvements, and future hopes, dreams, and making reality.
Yeah, I've been
Right
around
there.
long enough. I remember when Metro Center opened up when I was in high school.
40 years ago
That
this
was the
week.
place- yeah, that was the place to go to. Metro Center was the place to go to when I was in high school, and it was a gathering place. It was, at the time it was the northern part of the city.
Far out.
Yeah, it was. But it was, and it has the ability to be that gathering place again. It really does, for the positive. It's, it's a great location. Now it's basically in the center of the city. So we're happy to have it within the precinct. We're happy to work with all the businesses and with the management at Metro Center. I think it'll be a wonderful partnership as we move forward.
I do too. I mean, the new businesses that are coming along the ring road, that's building up all across Peoria and down I-17. We are working closely on the west side, and I know the mall manager and the owners now very well, because they're very interested in making this a successful project, but they're very, very community-minded. And I know that they're working closely with you, their security works close with you, and they really respect what your officers provide.
Good, and they are a professional organization, we're a professional organization, and you bring that together. What it equals to is everyone having a positive experience. The folks in the community, the business folks there at Metro Center, the police officers, everybody. So you're right, it's going to be a very positive experience for everybody.
Speaking Metro Center, and it's now the center of the valley, almost exactly. And it has brought new challenges, I know, to the precinct. We used to be the rural area. I mean, we had robberies, but it was usually because you left the garage open and the bikes were stolen. Well, things have changed.
They have, and I will tell you, one of the things I do is every week I review the crimes that occurred the week before and stay on top of things. The radio's on in my office. If I'm in my office, I try to get out every day and make backups for the officers on the street. So you have a feel for what's going on. But what I have noticed with burglaries, we have a little bit of a trend in the precinct, and we're on top of it. We're putting our plainclothes net officers out there. The uniform officers are well aware of it. But a lot of our burglaries are occurring during the day, between 9 o'clock and about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And a large majority of them are occurring with houses who have access or have accesses from alleys. And so we're paying particular attention in all the alleys in the area. And I got to give credit to our net officers at the precinct. They're arresting on average about 5 burglars a month.
Good.
Oh yeah, they're doing a bang up job. I can't say enough good things about them. And there's more down the line. And it's not just the net officers. The patrol officers are grabbing up folks all the time too. So I think we're going to start to see our burglary rate, even though it was climbing, and we have the busiest precinct of the 8 precincts in the city, our burglary rate was climbing, but I think with some more concentrated efforts on our part, we'll start to see it take a downward motion. So it's going in the right direction, but the citizens, they're helping us out by letting us know. And like I told everyone, I've been telling them at the meetings, If it's of concern to them, it's of concern to us. Tell us about it. There are eyes and ears out there. So as long as they're letting us know about things, we're going to get out there and hopefully deal with those problems in a positive way.
You know, I know that the residents that I work with so often are block watch people or the Citizen Patrol. And they have, the PMP has actually solved a couple crimes, or actually video or took snapshots on their phone, sent them directly. So I applaud you for all that you do and what the officers do, because being the center of town has totally changed, and it's a very large precinct.
Yep.
May not be geographically as large as Black Mountain, but you have a much more concentrated population and different issues that we didn't have before.
Right. You're right, and we're addressing them. I think we're being very good about them, working closely with your office. So when you hear about things from your constituents, you know, we find out about it. So we're all working hand in hand. The partnership, it's a three-pronged approach. Your office, the precinct, and the citizens, all of us working together is wonderful.
That's what makes Phoenix special.
It is, it does. And you had mentioned the block watchers and the neighborhood groups. This past week we had the GAIN event. I was going from one event to another, and I come up on an accident. And who's out there directing traffic and taking care of things but some of our block watchers?
And I heard when the officers found out that the lieutenant and the commander actually responded to the accident call, they were all freaking out.
Yeah, it was one of those things, because you know I don't know that they necessarily trusted me to do an accident report, and understandably
I heard there was
so.
a little uneasiness.
apprehension there, yeah. But they came by and they relieved us of our responsibilities. But the thanks goes out to the block watchers who were there taking care of things until our arrival.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate all that you do and all your officers do.
Thank you.
Very welcome. That's all the time we have for this month's On the Issues. If you have questions or comments about this show, call my office or visit my website at phoenix.gov/district1. We'll see you next time on The Issues.